Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of I Am That Bitch podcast. And I am that bitch, Val V, your host. And I'm with Leisse today, and, another Speaker Slam champ.
I can't get over how great the name of this podcast is. So every time I see it, read it, speak it, I'm just like, yeah, that feels right.
I have to stop looking down. I'm at this camera. I got to stop looking down. Yeah, I'll tell you how. Anyway, I want to introduce you first, and then I'll tell you how I came up with it. But so you and I met at my competition really briefly,
Yeah.
and then online we went back and forth. And I just came and watched you compete. And you and Alana were, sorry to everybody else, but you guys were my favorite too. Sorry, like I was right into it. You know what I mean? It related to me and my life.
Yeah.
But tell everybody who you are and what you do.
My name is Leisse Wilcox, and I would say it's like new lease on life. I'm an executive coach, executive coach, performance coach, and keynote speaker.
Okay, so in your profile, you have EQ. What is this? Yeah. What is
that? I'm always so bad at introducing myself because, like, really, what I should say is I'm the secret weapon of the CEO or of the C-suite, and you're like, oh, what does that mean? And I say I am an expert in emotional intelligence, but I always just take it too literally. Anyway, so I'm the secret weapon of the C-suite. I am an emotional intelligence expert. EQ is the short form for emotional intelligence.
Clearly, I don't have any, and I didn't know what it meant.
That's okay. We're all work in progress.
Oh, fuck. I'm like a big job. Emotional intelligence, like how? Okay, I'm intrigued. Like, I'm going off. Okay, like I want more of that. Like you got to tell me more.
So there are a couple different ways to explain it, but basically, it's an understanding of yourself. You know, like. How are you showing up? How are you recognizing your own self-awareness? How are you gauging and regulating your emotions? And how are you making different relationships mean something about you, or interactions mean something about you when you're in relationship to another? So The reason it's so significant for leaders is that, like, AI is coming for everybody's job, right? Including the C-suite. And the way that AI is coming for the C-suite is that, AI is taking away all the busy work. We don't need to do that anymore, which is distilling the role of executives to be purely relationship based. So if you are somebody who's a leader who doesn't put people first, who doesn't thrive in relationships, who doesn't know how to manage and grow successful, healthy relationships, as a leader, you're going to be left behind if you don't very quickly figure out how to really embody your own emotional intelligence and kind of double down on that in the next couple of years.
Well, I think that's quite powerful. It's funny that we're talking today because on Friday I had a class. Part of my winning with the Speaker Slam was Cher Jones.
Oh, nice.
Right. And she really pulled shit out of me. And we were talking about management. Actually, Cher and I when I first saw her, I saw her with Rena. We went to an event downtown Toronto, and I said, "You look familiar." And she's like, "Did you used to work at Hydro?" And I'm like, "Yes." So we worked at Hydro together, not really know each other. Yeah. So I said, I never forget a face. Like I know when I meet somebody. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so and all of the teachings most of it were like corporate. And I'm not a corporate girl. I'm an entrepreneur, right? But I did work at Hydro for 10 years and I was in management. And I was telling her the story about we were leaving Hydro to go to Capgemini. They were doing like a split, like a project and stuff like that. And so I got the job as the supervisor. And then everybody that was part of the team kept saying, I want to be on Val's team. I want to be on Val's team. Until my new boss called me and said, who the fuck are you? Like, why does everybody want to work for you? And it's because I treat people like human beings. I had relationships with them. You know what I mean? And I did the dirty with them, right? Side by side. Like I wasn't afraid to work. So, wow. And I thought I needed emotional intelligence. Kind of have it.
So maybe you already have it. I thought you were going to say when the manager or the supervisor was like, "Who are you?" I thought you were going to be like, "I am that bitch
I am that
everyone wants to
bitch.
work with."
But I wasn't that bitch there. I was just coming into
Yeah.
my own actually.
Yeah.
This I am that bitch has come out of the last 4 years of COVID.
Mm, mhm, mhm.
That I'm very vocal. People that
Yeah.
know me know I have a hard opinion on a lot of things, and
Yeah.
you either like me or you don't. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. There's not a lot of in between.
There's really no in between. Yeah, you
Gotcha.
either like me or you don't. And it's funny because I have friends that were politically completely opposite. Like you'll see Rula around me a lot. Rula is an American. She's
Mhm,
from Boston,
mhm,
hard Democrat,
mhm.
and I'm kind of like conservative, kind of in the
Yeah.
middle kind of thing, and we get along just fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
Like
know.
we have different opinions. I fuck with her a lot, but
God.
making fun of Biden should be walking with a walker. Anyway, I digress. So congrats on your second place.
Thank
That's
you.
huge. I know you weren't
Thank you.
first, but you and
Yeah.
Alana were, like I said, were one of my favorites. But how do you feel? Like, how's like you're on the high still?
Yeah, well, as I said to you, like before we started recording, I'm so happy to have won the title of award-winning speaker. And
Yeah,
I've been speaking for
baby.
a long time, and that just feels so good. It
Yeah,
just feels so good to pepper it into
I
all
love
the
it.
online places. I also hate that I didn't win first. Like, I hate that
Oh,
I
I'm
didn't get it, but that's
sorry.
okay. That's okay. You know what? I got the feedback from the judges, and I had a call one-on-one with Rena. It made a lot of sense, and I'm really looking forward to the fall for like the Grand Slam and really staying in story.
Oh shit,
I'm a
we're competitors now.
I
You're my
know, I
competition,
know,
bitch.
I know, man, and I feel that.
I
Like I've
know.
only because I only know, the winners of my competition, and I'm sure Alana's going to win wild card. I'm sure she's going to be at the finals.
I
Um,
hope so.
and and the winners from yours, and then I don't know the others. And so it's really like, okay, we're starting to gather steam here in terms of who we're stacking the deck with.
Some badasses for sure.
I know.
I don't know if I feel worthy to be in this lineup.
I think
To be,
so. I think you are.
uh, I,
You
for me
like
it was,
took that stage.
it was a whirlwind for me. Like I know people have been doing this for a long time, and I was there. I don't know if you know the story of how this all became with
Mm.
me. I was there on January 30th for that competition. I forget what it was about.
I
Um,
can't remember.
Reinventing yourself,
Oh,
reinvention.
okay.
And Tristan, who you also see around me a lot, put
Yeah.
my name in the inspirational bucket.
Oh, gotcha.
And I'm like, don't do it, don't do it. And I said, fuck, they won't call me. They just won't,
Yeah.
right? Because I never get picked. I never win, whatever, right? First name, Valvi. And I'm like,
Oh my God.
what do I say now? So I went up. I said I don't even know what I said. And
Yeah.
I had people coming up to me going, oh my God, you should be on stage. You should do this. You should do that. I had a lady chase me outside saying, oh my God, I related to you so much. You
Wow.
need to go on the stage. I'm like, Dan and Rena pay fucking people to come up to you and
Yeah,
say shit to
seriously,
get you on
seriously.
stage. And so sitting there, and Dan said, there's two more spots for a human connection. And
Yeah.
I literally looked at like Tristan's to the right of me. I think Jennifer Maxwell to the left of me.
Yeah.
And I met new people across from me. And I'm like, fuck human connection. And Lindsay Matthews was
Yes.
sitting at the table, and she points over and she's like, that's your speech.
That's your
And I'm like,
speech.
oh my God, that's my speech. So
That's incredible.
I literally drive home. I'm doing a live. I'm driving home on the fucking QEW doing a live.
Oh my God.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited, blah, 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 whatever. I get on the driveway. My husband's coming out. I said, babe, I'm doing this. I don't know. I said, I'm going to start it
Mhm.
like fuck human connection. The middle's
Yeah.
going to be fuck human connection. And at the end, it's going to be, fuck
Uh,
human connection.
yeah.
But I don't know.
No,
I
I
said,
love it.
I don't know what's going to be in the middle. But that's my speech.
Hey, I've got my signposts, and really that's all I need for a structure. The rest is just filler.
That was it. And 2 days later, I wrote the speech, and Rena worked with me a little bit. And yeah, I thought, what am I doing? And my husband's like, if you don't win, like, you're going to be okay. Cause he knows I'm
Yeah.
competitive, right?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
if you
Same.
don't win? I said, I'm on the stage. You know how long? Sometimes it takes people a year to get on stage.
I know.
And us being on that stage, Leisse,
Yeah.
is huge.
Yeah.
So don't knock that you came in second place. Please don't. You
Yeah.
accomplished something amazing. You got up there and you killed it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you really
The,
did
the,
a good job.
the irony for me is that, like, under the umbrella of emotional intelligence, I work a lot with high achievers, high performers, overachievers. And, out of my own experience, that's really been born because I am somebody who also constantly struggles with, like, but what does enough feel like? So I am like, I can get second place at a speaking competition. It's like, but it wasn't first. So, like, is it really enough? And that's what I love to speak on, because there are so many of us who are slaying it. And you check off all the boxes, you hit the salary, you check off all the life milestones. You're like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if this is enough. And so to me, it's kind of interesting because I always have to take a dose of my own medicine. Um, but yeah, so I had the same conversation with my husband beforehand. I was like, listen, I'm going to win this. But if I don't, what's going to happen? And he was like, if you get up there and you connect with one person, like if that 5-minute speech lands with one person and
Mhm.
allows them to reevaluate their own sense of, like, hang on a second, what does enough really feel like for me? And you get them off the hamster wheel, or you get them to stop people pleasing, or just plant the seed. He's like,
It's
you've won.
huge.
So exactly. So,
No,
I
you
mean, I
really
know
need to
that.
be proud. You need to be proud of yourself. Seriously, you did great.
Thank you.
I heard. Tell people what your speech was about. Actually, just give us like a Cole's Note version.
So I kind of framed it around a Goldilocks narrative. I think it was called Just Right, the Goldilocks Guide to Finding Enough, or Finding Freedom. And I grew up hearing I was never enough. Like, nothing I did was ever, ever, ever enough. I grew up in a super abusive household, and it was just like, you're never enough. You're a piece of shit. Like, nothing you do will ever be good enough for us. So to compensate, I went like super hard in the other direction, just like so many people do, where we're
Yeah.
like, you know what? Let me just show you how enough I am. And we become these, like, toxic overachievers. And then just as you're really starting to feel yourself, people around you are like, you got to tone it down. Like, it's a little much. And it's like, oh, perfect. So I was not enough. Now I am too
Too
much.
much.
What the hell does just right feel like? Do you feel like you're, like, living out this like Goldilocks narrative that I'm
It really
constantly bouncing
is.
around, right?
Yeah.
And the punchline is, like, you find freedom when you decide what enough is for you. And that's it. It's a decision that we make. Now, what I didn't have time to say in 5 minutes and 29 seconds is that it's a decision we make, and then it's a practice of,
Yeah.
like, and again, I'm taking my own medicine. It's like, you decide what enough is, and then you got to keep practicing, like, no, this actually is enough for me. Like, this is okay for me to have this level.
Yeah. I'm totally with you on that because and that speaks to me a lot. So I come from nothing, right?
Yeah.
So we've been broke, bankrupt, brother in jail, so on and so forth. Like,
Wow.
we've always been knocked down. We've always been the underdogs in my family.
Yeah.
So when I turned our lives around, and it took me a long time,
Yeah.
and um, I'm happy with where I am today.
Yeah.
And if this is it, it's enough for me.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
from my
incredible.
marriage to my family, I don't have kids. We tried, it
Yeah.
didn't work out. But
Yeah.
the way the world is today, I think I'm kind of happy
Yeah.
that I don't.
Yeah. I am a
Um,
mom of three, and I gotta tell you that not raising people in this generation is, like, that's enough too.
yeah,
It's a lot.
and I was having a conversation with one of my dad's cousins. We went to visit another aunt that had just lost her husband. And we're talking, and I said, I'm taking my mom to Greece and whatever. And I don't know what I said to him. And he turned to me and he said, How old are you? And I said, I'm 50. And he goes,
Mhm.
Why are you still struggling in life? And I said, Who the fuck is still struggling? Do you not hear that what I just said? How I'm taking my mom to
Yes.
Greece and how I'm flying her there and what we're doing, blah, 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 blah. And, it's funny because they have so much more when it comes to money. But I'm happy. My bills are
Yeah.
paid. I have a roof over my head. I have food on the table.
Yeah.
I have wicked people. I keep attracting more wicked
Yeah.
people like yourself into my life.
Yeah.
I have an
Yeah.
amazing marriage. That's all I could ask for,
I know. I know. And
and that's enough.
it's so beautiful for me to hear you say that because, the wealthiest of the wealthy often don't feel like it's enough. I was reading a book by a guy named Ken Honda, and he did a study of these self-made millionaires from across the world.
Mhm.
And the question was, when did you first feel like a millionaire? And and almost resoundingly, the answer was like, when did you first feel rich? Sorry. And the answer was usually like, are you kidding? I'm not rich. And they're like, what? You're like, you have
What?
$1 million in the bank. And they're like, I'm not rich because I don't have a private jet. So like, I know I will have arrived when I have my own jet. So then they talk to somebody who has a jet and they're like, so tell me, when did you first feel rich? And they're like, are you kidding? I'm not rich. I'm like, bro, you have like $1 million in the bank. You even have a private jet. And they're like, you should see my friend's private jet. When I have that jet, I know it'll be enough.
Yeah.
It's this incrementalism that success is a moving target, enough is a moving target. And we are so conditioned to think that more equals better. So when you are driven and when you are a high achiever, it becomes really easy to just keep chasing and it's like do, achieve, repeat, do, achieve, repeat, do, achieve, repeat until you die. So until we are the ones who decide what our line in the sand is of actually this feels really good and that feels like it's enough for me, it will literally never be enough. So the fact that you've found it and you've set those parameters and you've done that by the time you're 50, I think that's a huge accomplishment.
It's amazing. It's a great feeling.
Mm-hmm.
People will always say, well, you could always use a little bit more money. Sure, having a little bit more money is great, but I'm tired of the chase. I'm tired of the hustle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't, I have maybe I feel this way because I've had so much death in my dad died.
Yeah.
My dad died at 57. My other brother died at
Mm-hmm.
43. Life is
Mm-hmm.
short.
I know.
And while I am on this earth, I want to
Mm-hmm.
enjoy every moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I was blessed with the husband that I have. Puts up with this shit. You know, I'm a very lucky girl. There's been I say shit off the cuff. I have no filter. We've been out a few times. We were at this event and one guy looks at Tony and goes, Bud, holy fuck, how do you handle her? And he goes, and I look at him and I go, because he's a man. That's why I said,
Yeah.
clearly you don't have a hold of your balls yet. This is
Oh my
who says that,
God.
right? I'm like, you're not man enough for me. That's the problem, right?
So that's another great example though, because especially women, I've worked with so many women who are like, you know what? I'm a strong, capable, independent, driven, self-sufficient woman. And so many men feel like that's intimidating. So many other women feel like that's intimidating because it's too much. And it's
Yeah.
like, wait a second. When you say I'm just too much for some people, it's the same thing as saying it's not enough. I'm not enough because it's still this feeling like I just don't measure up to somebody else's expectations. And so again, to have that feeling of no, I'm enough for me, and I'm also just enough for my husband is so wonderful to hear.
Yeah. So maybe you know what, that just is that why I'm going to ask you some advice here? Is that
Yeah,
why? So I'm very strong. I'm very
yeah,
outspoken. I have no filter. There's a lot of people that will turn on me, right? We went to an
mm-hmm.
event, and once I won the competition, literally people just stopped talking to me.
Are you serious?
Shut it. Oh yeah, I've gotten so much hate. Um, Saying that that I was set up to win, that just a whole bunch of shit, right? And I'm like, did you hear my speech? Mine was better than yours. I'm sorry.
I
It
was
just,
gonna say,
I'm
I
like,
know.
yours was a fucking snooze fest. Anyway, no,
Sometimes the
um,
truth hurts.
but you know what I mean? What are you saying, that I'm not good enough to be on that stage because I beat you? Whatever. But that But there's a lot of people that turn on me. So
Yeah.
when especially women, a lot of
Yeah.
like alpha males, like strong men, can handle me. They actually
Yeah.
love me.
Oh, they
Weak
like the
men,
challenge.
think right. The
Yeah.
weak men, they kind of just fade away.
Yeah.
But women, I find they really like me in the beginning. They like, I love your energy. I love that you're unfiltered. I love
Yeah.
this. And then there's just something about me that just makes them flip.
It's heartbreaking. It's
And my friend Joe, we were at an event, and this one girl outright did not talk to me. She's like, "What happened there?" I go, this is the moment where she turned on me. And she sits there and she looks at me. She's like, "That makes me sad that you just accept it." And I go, "Well, what do you want me to do? Like,
what
if
else are you gonna do?
what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Cry over it? Listen, this
I
is on
know.
her. That's not on me. If she has a
Yeah.
beef with me, then she needs to come and say, hey, yo, Val, this is my problem.
Yeah.
Let me fix it. Give me the opportunity to apologize or
Yeah.
fix it or explain what I did.
Yeah.
If I tell me what I did wrong, right?
Yeah.
But these women aren't strong enough to approach me, right?
It's we're also working off of a really outdated and very flawed system, right? So like you were born in 1974?
Too. I'm 52 this
1972.
year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So just in 1974, just after you were born, was the first year in history that women were able to have a credit card or a mortgage in their own name. That was 1974. That's like no time ago, right? So if we think about like how much has changed in the past 50 years, but also how little has changed in the past 50 years, it starts to, in my opinion, give us so many insights as to what we're dealing with. Women were conditioned to claw and fight their way for the one role as token female. Like that's the way that it has been for years and years. Women have been conditioned to compete because there wasn't enough for more than one woman. And so, like, even if you watch celebrities, like, we're really rooting for celebrities, especially female celebrities, until you become Taylor Swift big. And then you're like, let's just take her down a notch. Like, maybe she's not that great. It's like people can't handle it. They want to see other people fall. And I think it's really, really common with women that we have been conditioned to like take them down and like, let me nitpick it. Let me make your success about me. And it's like your success has nothing to do with me, right?
It's true. Well, that's why I started Ladies Who Dine. Like I
Yeah.
started Ladies Who Dine 12 years ago. First of all, the Taylor Swift, I don't like her. Not because she's
I knew you weren't gonna like her. I was that I was like, you should have used a different example. That's okay.
she doesn't talk to me. Like
Yeah.
I don't like how, I don't know. It's more of a, I don't like her. I don't even like her
Yeah.
music. It's just not my
Yeah,
shtick,
that's fine.
right?
Yeah.
I like, who I like for role models for women, and she's actually changed. Before she used to be hard, like it's this way or I'm leaving the US, or this way I'm doing this or
Yeah.
whatever. Now it's like, fuck all the politics. Let's just
Yeah.
be kind to one another and support each other. Is Pink. I love that.
Yeah.
Right?
I can see
Because
that.
no matter
Yeah.
what, left or right, whatever you are politically,
Yeah.
we just got to show kindness to one another.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all want a better world to live in. It's just how we get
I know.
there. It is where we disagree, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. But I started Ladies Who Dine back in 2012. We opened up. We had just moved back from Maine. We had two Tim Hortons in
Mm.
Maine, and it was 4 years of my life I'll never get back. But
Wow.
yeah, we came back and we opened up a olive oil store. An olive oil. You probably have one in Coburg, like an olive oil and balsamic tasting
Yeah.
bar. I think there's one out
Yeah.
there. Anyway,
We don't. Quebec has like nothing cool, but that's okay.
oh, I thought somebody opened one up out there.
Oh, actually, maybe. Is it the Olive?
It could be the olive,
Yeah,
maybe.
there's something here called the Olive.
So mine was called Olive That, right?
Nice.
Anyway, so we opened up at the store in Whitby, and
Mm.
one of my friends begged me to hire her daughter, and I'm like, I don't think it's good because
Yeah.
I'm going to be the boss. I'm going to say something. I'm going to be offended,
Yeah.
and then our relationship is over,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, And that did happen. But while the daughter worked for me and she was excellent, right? The two friends would drop off the one daughter. Well, the one friend never stepped foot in my store, and I knew her longer. Never stepped foot in my store. One time, if they saw my car, she would get in the back seat and lie down so I didn't see her in the
Oh,
car.
nice. Oh my
And I thought,
God.
you know what? This is really shitty because, like, even family would stay away. And I thought, this is really shitty. So, what I started to do, excuse me, geez, I wanted to see the change. So, you be the change, right?
Mhm,
So I allowed women with side hustles to come in for
mhm,
free on the busiest
mhm,
days. And I said,
mhm.
just set up a
Wow.
table. You tell your people, I tell my people, and let's grow together, right?
Wow.
Let's feed off each other. And that slowly started growing and growing. And I was having events on Saturdays because that was the busiest
Wow.
day. That I thought I got to take this further, that I should do a networking event. And we started going to little restaurants and supporting local guys, not the
Mhm,
big
mhm,
conglomerates.
mhm.
And then it grew and grew and grew. And then COVID hit. So,
Yeah.
and I wasn't about to well, I stopped doing it about a year because my best friend ripped me off, but
Mhm.
that's that's a whole other episode. But then COVID hit, and then I didn't want, during COVID in my story, you can see humanity
Mhm,
was just disgusting
mhm,
to me. That I
mhm.
thought, fuck this, I don't want to do it anymore. I didn't have the gusto to do it anymore
Yeah.
until a few friends said, Val, you got to bring it back. We need
Oh
you,
man.
right? And that's it. We relaunched it last year. So this is,
Wow.
I get that concept, right? So, but it's amazing how so many women will preach women supporting women. Let's have each other's
Yeah.
back. Let's do this, do that. And yet they'll turn on you in a fucking heartbeat.
Yeah, and like I use this example a lot when I speak about this stuff, but like I do you know how many events I've been asked to speak at, like women's events, like women's empowerment events, and I'm like, okay, cool, here's my speaker's fee, and they're like, oh, we don't have a budget. I'm like, okay, like, okay, so we can empower women and we can support women as long as we don't have to pay them. Like, then
Yeah.
that's okay. So it's integrity. It's really like putting your money where your mouth is and like walking your same talk, not just using a hashtag that feels like a great dopamine hit, but don't doesn't actually follow through on making any change or
Yeah.
standing behind what you mean.
Yeah. No, it's, well, a lot of these empowerment groups, I got to say, the smaller ones, they're not making money.
Yeah.
And it's hard to make money at these events. Like Ladies Who Dine, it's really hard, especially now with everything that's gone up, like the food and everything.
The life
Um,
is ridiculous right now, I know. But
oh,
even pre-pandemic, when it would be like an International Women's Day event, and they'd be like, "Yeah, we're having an event. It's all about empowering women." I was like, "Great, here's my speaker's fee." They're like, "Yeah, we can't pay you." But I also like the kicker was that I was invited to speak at one. This is such a rabbit hole, but I was invited to speak at an event that was completely championing women, and all of their budget had been used on their male speaker. I was like, so just so I have this straight, you've brought in a male speaker, you've given him 10K, which leaves no money for the female speakers. They were like, yeah. It's like, then
was
I
that
guess
in
I won't be
Durham?
there.
Was that in Durham?
No, it wasn't in Durham. It was the other side, like I think Oakville.
Oh, because I went to, um, should I even say it?
No, but
Um,
I already know who you're talking about.
no, you probably don't. I
Really?
bet you don't. It's a board of trade.
Oh, okay, then no.
Okay.
Okay, never mind.
So,
Sure.
so I went to a board of trade in the area, and we sit down, and it's all women, and I look up at the panel, two men, two women, and I'm like, okay, this is great. No, I'm
Mhm.
not anti-man. Let's get
No,
that
God, no.
right out. Like,
Yeah.
I love a good alpha male. I love them. Okay. I really do. Anyway, so the host is a male. He starts talking to this one, and it was about women in business. Everyone but one was corporate.
Oh man.
So, how do you talk to me when you're working for OLG and
Yeah.
Lululemon with deep,
Yeah.
deep pockets, and then you're going to tell me how to run my small business? I don't fucking
Mhm,
think so. But
mhm,
so the girl that worked for OLG, she's like, I knew I had to do this to go to another department to grow and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, still corporate, but you played the
mhm,
game and you got where you got, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fine.
Mm-hmm.
Then the guy with his fucking, I'm going to just say it, his fucking Justin Trudeau socks,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
sitting there with his ankle up on the knee. And he says,
yeah.
you know, I struggle working in an all mostly woman industry of Lululemon. And I'm like, really, bitch? You're really going to go there? That you're struggling in to grow in Lululemon, one of two
You
men or
poor
whatever?
thing.
You poor thing. And you already came in at the top, like, oh, you poor thing. Like, and I'm like, you
Like
guys have totally missed the mark here. Like, you're talking, someone asked
That's
him
an
a
example of
question.
someone. He has no emotional intelligence, just
None.
so you know.
No, but neither does the guy that runs this
uh,
board, right? They totally missed the mark. And I'm sitting there and someone asked a question. He goes, well, that's something that you should ask your CFO. So I look at the entire table and I'm like, yo, who's your CFO? Who's your
yeah,
CFO? I know I'm my own fucking CFO. So I'm going to have a meeting with
yeah,
myself to discuss budget. Are you kidding me?
yeah.
And I'm like, anyway,
What
I'm
a
curious.
shame.
Offline, I want to know who you're talking
Yeah.
about. We'll get there anyway. But I get it. I get, and sometimes because I'm growing Ladies Who Dine, there isn't a massive budget for speakers, right?
No,
So,
I understand that. And there are different, I don't want to sound like a dick. Like I'm just making a point that it's very easy for us to say one thing, and it's
yeah,
a lot harder to have the integrity that allows us to really follow through and do the
yeah,
thing we say we're so passionate about, right?
yeah,
I speak
yeah,
at small events for a reduced fee like all the time. I get it. It's the and I, anyway, I'm not going to over explain it. It's just like I
yeah,
understand that, and then there are just it's very rare that somebody has so much integrity that they like really they do what they say they do when nobody is looking, right?
yeah. I try. I really do try, and and I go out into the community and I try to
Yeah.
spread my money. Like
Yeah.
I try. You know what I mean? There's so much. Like there's so many coaches we have,
Oh,
photographers,
yeah.
social
I
media
know.
experts, like
Florists.
salons and like
Yeah.
estheticians. I
I know.
try to go little by little and spread my money.
And
I try.
it's I know. I'm with you, and it also becomes that's something that I can feel so overwhelmed with because it's like, wait a second. This is going to sound backwards, but like when did it become my responsibility to make sure everybody else stays in business? Like I was in New York over the weekend and tipping has become I can't even with tipping. Like when I go to a bagel shop, no, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to tip you an extra
What happened with
25%.
tipping? What's going on with tipping?
Every kiosk, like everything you go to, first of all, they've removed a lot of the people from customer service. So you're literally going through a machine. And the machine
What?
is like, would you like to add 50 or 20? They don't even start at 15, but like 20, 22 or 25%. I'm like, I would like to add no percent because there hasn't actually been any outstanding service because I'm at a machine. Like I can't
Wow.
handle it. And I get it because post COVID and like in a recovering economy from the last few years, life is ridiculously expensive. Like it's
Crazy.
unbelievable. And still life is really expensive for me as a business owner too, right? And I'm doing the best that I can. And I can't take it upon myself to make sure everybody else is getting paid 20 to 30% more than usual at my own expense. There are so many services to go and support. I really want to be able to support them all. And it's like, I have to set my own energetic boundaries and
Yeah.
financial boundaries with who I can support and how much, like without without hurting my own family and
It's true.
my own lifestyle,
Well, if I'm
right?
getting a service done, I will tend to look at the ones that, have supported me, whether
Yeah,
emotionally or coming to my events or whatever.
yeah,
I tend to
yeah,
practice what I preach, right? We're there, we're
yeah,
networking. I've made connections with these
yeah,
people, like authentic, well, what I think are authentic.
yeah,
Um, I go and try to practice what I preach. I may
yeah.
not be the biggest spender,
Hmm.
um, but I try and I won't ask for a discount.
Yeah. No,
Um,
same.
I
Yeah.
think, people used to walk into the olive oil store, and my manager at the time, she was awesome. They're like, "Oh, can we get a discount on the olive oil and vinegar?" And they're like, "I'm Val's friend."
No.
They're like, "Well, we're not authorized to do that, right?" And then she goes like, "Oh, but I'm Val's friend." She goes, "Well, then call her and ask her." And they're like, "Well, we don't have her number." And then she's like, "Well, clearly you're
You're
not that
really
much of
close.
a friend."
I grew up in Stratford and I had a lot of jobs. Yeah, part of my own childhood was like it was so nasty I just tried to escape it by working.
Yeah,
That's an insight I've never had before. Wonder where the overworking came from. But
there you go.
anyway, I remember having a job at like this women's clothing and gift shop. It was a beautiful store.
Yeah.
And these two people came in and they had like heaps of things on at the till and we're adding it up and it was like $1,000 bill. And they were like, well, does that include our discount? And we were like, sorry, what discount is that? And she was like, I'm Corey Hart's sister. I get a discount wherever I go. I was like,
Uh,
bitch, it is 1998. Like nobody's heard from Corey Hart in like 15 years.
does he still wear his sunglasses at night? Like what? Like
Dark outside. I don't even know I didn't even recognize him. But I've never gotten over that. Just like, I'm Corey Hart's sister. I get a discount wherever I go. It's like, well, not here. Let this be the first one.
that's just nuts. That's just nuts. We grew up. My brother grew up actually with Kiefer Sutherland.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Um, but no one believed my brother. Like growing up, yeah, I grew up with Kiefer. I grew up with Kiefer, and then he came in when he was engaged to Julia Roberts. He went into like this luxury car rental place where one of our friends was working. And he's like, my buddy says he knows you. You guys grew up together. And he goes, well, who's your buddy? And he goes, Nitzy. And he's like, yeah, I fucking know Nitzy, of course. I was at the house all the time. And they're like, oh, they didn't believe Steve, but my poor brother Steve. But anyway, but like I get a discount because I'm Corey Hart's sister. Well,
I know. 15 years after his one hit single, I just
right?
was like, that also, I want the confidence of that woman to just be like, I feel entitled to this discount for who
Right?
I'm related to. I know.
Actually, I should charge you more. I should charge you more. Like, I would be like, oh, here's your special pricing, bitch. Here. We had, I think I had an NHLer come into the olive oil store. He was talking to my mom. My mom calls me. She's like, Val, come. There's a hockey player here. We're a
Yeah.
very hockey family, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, okay, who is it? I love Darcy Tucker.
Mm.
And he wouldn't take his sunglasses off, and it was night. Actually, it wasn't Corey Hart.
Ironically.
And he comes in, and I'm like, well, who are you, right? Like, because when you see them, like they got
Yeah.
their helmets on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't tell me who he is. I said, okay, fine. You want to tell me who you are? You ain't Darcy Tucker, so I don't care.
Yeah.
He's like, I gotta go. And I think it was his brother-in-law, Shane Corson.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, we got a few ties to some famous people.
Right on.
My dad thinks Belushi, before he died, used to come into our restaurant on Queen Street
No way.
when he lived in Toronto. Yeah. Anyway.
Wow.
I digress. So let's go back to you. What advice would you give anybody that wants to uh, improve their emotional intelligence?
You know, thousands of years ago, Plato said, know thyself. And I just think it's those two little words are as true now as ever before. Life is hard. Life is
Yeah.
really complicated. Being a human is really hard and complicated. And unless you know who you are, it is going to stay harder than necessary. So like the first step of developing your own EQ is really truly getting to know who you are. What do you like? What are you great at? What are you not so great at? What like really drives you crazy? And then from there, how do we take those qualities and allow them to be good enough for you? You know, like how do we decide to be confident? How do we really show up and own who we are? How do we use kind, clear communication? How do we know what our own
Did you say kind?
self-sabotage patterns are? I did.
Oh, I really try. I really try, but sometimes you just gotta just say it bluntly.
It can be clear. It can be clear communication. And it can be, it can be matter of fact. It doesn't have to be sugar coated, but it doesn't have to be like malicious either, right?
I
Doesn't
get
have to
that.
be.
I try not to be malicious. I don't think I
Yeah.
really am. I think I'm just straightforward, but I love that. I love that
Yeah.
advice. Know yourself, know thyself.
It
That's,
really is.
yeah, I love that.
And
And you know
and
what? It would be a better place if everybody uh,
I
just
know.
really lived in their truth.
Like everybody's running from something, everybody is running from something. And we're all trying to numb shit out that we don't want to face about ourselves or our past. And it really doesn't get us anywhere. Like, trust me, I've tried. It doesn't get us anywhere. And the faster we can just take the time to get to know who we are, it changes how you show up in relationships. To relationships with your work, with your
I love
money, with
that.
your family, with your partner, with your kids. Like it changes your ability to interact. And to bring it back, AI is here, man, and relationships cannot be automated. So if there's ever been a good time to maybe like focus on how we show up in all these interpersonal relationships using those what used to be considered soft skills, they're not soft skills anymore. It's what's going
Mm,
to separate people from robots and success from getting left in the dust.
I love that. I absolutely love that. This podcast was 2 years in the making. I
Mm,
was really hesitant on doing it because I didn't want to, like I said, I lived a very blessed life. I do live a very
mhm,
blessed life. I'm very happy with where I am. That me putting myself out there,
mhm,
I didn't know if I wanted to do it, so it took me a while. I kept saying, "I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it," and then finally, I just did it. But it's because of my history. You said something, and this is what triggered it for me. Because I'm a high school dropout, I don't
mhm,
have like the education that people have.
mhm,
I've always been a hustler, right? At the moment I
mhm.
quit school, I had 3 jobs and I hustled.
Yeah, yeah,
And I said, well, people are going to find that out. And my husband just looked at
yeah,
me and he said, and it took me forever to tell my husband when we were
yeah,
dating that I was a high school dropout. And I married a
yeah.
man that's extremely intelligent. That when I first, like, our first date, I'm like, oh my God, this guy's way too smart for me. Um, but he said, own it. Just own it.
Yeah,
You talk about it before other people talk about it. Own it.
yeah,
That's like, Pitch Perfect. I'm fat Amy because I'm
yeah. I
fat,
know.
right?
Yeah,
Just own
yeah,
it. It is what it is. I can't change it. I dropped out of high school. School just wasn't for me.
yeah. I love the notion that like you change it or you accept it. And if you can't change it, then you accept it. But if you can't accept it, then you better change it, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
all right, well, if you can't change it, then there's a way of accepting it. My husband dropped out of university and he's 50 and I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this story. He struggled with it for a long time because he came from a family that was like, and then you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this. And he was like, oh my God, I have ADD. School is not working for me. Like, it's not actually possible for me to become a doctor because that's not the way I learn and retain info and act. And so he changed courses and he has been a serial entrepreneur. The guy is so smart and so talented, and he had so much shame around it. And to
Um,
me, I'm like, if you have the storyline that like takes you off the traditional path, you're a fucking badass. Like
I think so.
if you can do that and you can make it work for you, you know how much courage that takes?
Yeah.
I do hope my kids finish high school. I think they're going to go to post secondary. Like, I think there's a way to make this work, right?
Yeah.
And also, it's not for bloody everyone. And if
Mm-mm.
you can take your path and be like, I know who I am and this is not for me. And so instead, I'm going to grind it and do it this way. Like, kudos to you
Yeah.
for making that your own.
Thank you. Yeah, and you tell that to your husband as well, because it takes a lot
Yeah.
of courage to go out on your own
So
and become an
much.
entrepreneur.
I
You know how many
know.
people are sitting at a desk right now wishing that they had the balls to
I
do it?
know. I know.
So we're
And
already ahead of the
being an entrepreneur is hard. Like, they're
hard.
both hard. I think to go and suffer in an environment you hate every day but get paid for is hard. I think to go to an environment that you love but you're not really sure when you're getting paid is also really hard. But it's like it takes a tremendous amount of courage and resilience to be an entrepreneur for any length of time.
Yeah.
The stats on entrepreneurship are crazy, right? That like half the businesses fold in the first 5 years. Because I think people get tired. Like, I think
It's
just they
very
get so
lonely.
tired. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
It's very lonely. It is, but it is what it is. I love it. I
Yeah.
love what that I can do whatever I want to do. I start up things like I'm a serial entrepreneur as well.
Yeah.
We have like multiple businesses running right now, and
That's amazing.
sometimes you'll see me at a farmer's market because I'm helping my
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
husband. Ugh, I hate
What
it,
does he
but
sell at the
anyway,
farmer's market?
he has a company called Meatitarian, which is
Oh.
cured meats, right? Salamis,
Oh, right
pepperettes, and
on.
stuff. And then he has
Right
a
on.
baked good line. So I do the bakery kind of stuff. And
Wow.
now we have my nephew working with him, so I only work one day with him,
Nice.
and then we go from the cannabis business, the meat business, the bakery business, the
Yeah.
olive oil business. We have like multiple businesses,
It's a
and
really great
ladies who
dinner party
join.
you've just thrown together there.
Yeah, I make a mean charcuterie board and a great dessert. It's true. It's true.
Oh, I
That's why you
love
got to
it.
come to June
Yeah, I
25th
know.
at the Ladies Who Dine. I hope you can come out. Divya is awesome.
I do.
You'll love the girls at Ladies Who Dine. I think
I
you'll
think
fit
so too.
in so good because you're
Yeah.
very real and authentic, and that's
Yeah.
what we preach. And
Right on.
I think you will just be embraced so well.
I'd love to.
Yeah, I hope you can make it. But I want to thank you for coming onto my podcast.
Thank you so much. It's
My
been
my
just
now
such a treat to
competitor
get to
award
know
winning
you. I
speaker.
know, I know. We got to get to know each other so we can cut each other down. No, I don't feel that way. I
No,
think it's such a treat to be in your world. I'm so happy to get to know
oh,
you. And I was like
thank you.
thrilled to hop on here with you.
I'm so grateful for you. Absolutely. But we're going to be in touch. And yeah, so I'll let you know. Oh, how do people get a hold of you, Leisse?
My Wilcox, my website is the best place to start. Leisse Wilcox .com. Instagram at Leisse Wilcox, LinkedIn at Leisse Wilcox. I'm active on all three.
Okay, I'm going to put it in the description when this is posted. So
Perfect.
thank you once again, my friend. I appreciate you.
My absolute pleasure. It was really good to see you.
Okay, have a good one.
You too.